Hello everyone, how is it going? In this video, I will explain about the four figure of speeches that you have learned last week. I hope this video could help you understand more about those four figure of speeches and able to identify them correctly, since some of you still making mistakes in the previous poem making assignment. So without further ado, let's begin. First thing first, I would like to remind you about what is figure of speech and what are its functions. So you can see in the screen, figure of speech is one way of using language when one says something in the term of something else, in either in an indirect way by adding connotative meanings. So in other words, in simple term, figure of speech is a literary device that is used to provide figurative meanings in literary works. So what are its functions? Some of the functions are to make the poems more beautiful, to add vivid imageries for the readers, to convey the intensity of the feelings in the poem, and to provide dramatic effects to the poem. Now let's begin to explain about the first figure of speech uh, in this video, which is metaphor. In simple term, metaphor is a type of figure of speech that are making direct comparison by using to be, such as is, am, are, were, was. However, in the assignment, some of you only use the to be, but does not really make comparison of two different objects that has the same characteristic. So because of that, perhaps some of your use of figure of speech are incorrect, okay, in the poem. And some of the examples are, your eyes are sapphire. Here you can see that it used to be, which is are, and it compare the eyes, your eyes, to sapphire, right? The second example is, my husband is such a beast when angry. It use is, right, to be. And it compares what with what? It compares my husband to a beast. The next one, my past relationship were a bunch of tangled threads, right? This is using were, the to be is were, and it compares the past relationships with tangled threads. So the key here is using to be and comparing one object with another object that has the same characteristic. I hope that it is clear enough. Now let's move on to simile. Simile is similar, more or less, with metaphor, but rather than using to be, it uses comparative word to compare one object with another object with the same characteristic, of course, using comparative words such as like, as, than, more, similar, or resemble. Some of the example are, my husband is as mean as bees. Here you can see the orange part that the comparative word used here is as, and it compare my husband with bees. But if you notice, there's also to be here. It used also the to be is. In such case, okay, please pay attention only to the comparative word, and you can ignore the to be part. It could it could only be metaphor if it's only to be, okay, if it only used to be. But if there's to be and there is a comparative word, then the thing that you see is only the comparative words, which makes it a simile. Okay, the next one is, those teeth resemble the winter snow. The comparative word here is resemble, and it compared the teeth with winter snow. Like a violin with broken string is your voice. Here it uses like, okay, as the comparative word, and it compares your voice with a violin with broken string. And the last example is, those eyes are darker than the night. So here the comparative word that is used is than, and it compares the eyes, okay, with the night. But the thing that you have to remember is that it is not simile if the comparison is applied to the same type of objects. For example, it is not simile if you say, my brother resembles Tom Cruise, or my cat's fur is as black as your cat's fur. Why? Because if you make a comparison with the same type of object, the meaning that is produced is not really figurative meaning, but more towards a literal meaning. you just compared one thing with another thing that is literally similar. So it's not really a simile because it's not provide the line, let's say, okay, with figurative meaning. So pay attention to that. The next one is implied metaphor. Implied metaphor is a figure of speech that making comparison but do it implicitly by using particular verbs or noun that are related with the object that are being compared to. So if a metaphor is using to be and similarly using comparative words, in implied metaphor it use either verbs or nouns to make an indirect comparison with another object. So maybe you would be more understand if you take a look at the example. Here the first example is they are drowned in lottery money. So there's no comparative words, but by using ground, okay, it's already this line here, okay, is making an indirect comparison, right? Comparing the lottery money with something of a liquid object or the body of a body of water, right? Because you can only drown in a body of water, right? So by using ground, okay, it compares the lottery money indirectly with a body of water that can make a person drowned. The next example is his word pierced my heart. So here is the same. Okay, by using the word pierce, okay, it could refer to a sharp object, okay, that compare the words, okay, with something that is sharp. A sharp object could be a knife, could be short, could be a sword, okay, that could pierce a person's heart, basically. His anger explode in that room. This is also the same. By using explode, it compares anger with something that could literally explode, right? Such as bomb. So by using the word explode, it indirectly compare the anger with explosive, something that could explode. And the last one, his mother buries her deep sadness. So here, the verb that is used is buries, okay, and it indirectly compared the deep sadness, okay, with something that can be buries in the ground, basically. So by using buries, okay, it treats, okay, the sadness, okay, as if it is something that can be buried on the ground implicitly. So to make it clearer for you, you can maybe see the comparison chart here. So basically, metaphor is using to be, simile using like, as, resemble, similar, etc. And implied metaphor either using verbs or nouns, right? But those are the differences. But basically, these three figure of speech are similar in what way? In this way, that all of them are figurative comparison, making comparison of one object or two different objects with similar characteristics. But the way they compare it is different. Okay, right. The next one, the last one is personification. So this figure of speech, as the name suggests, person, right? It is a figure of speech that treats inanimate object, abstract things, or even animal as if they are human. So pretty simple, actually. Okay. For example, this is a balloon. This is a person. And let's say in the poem there's a line like this. Okay. The balloon bid me farewell as it flies to the sky. So the inanimate object here in the first example you can see is a balloon, right? But the first example, it is shown that the balloon could bid me farewell. Of course, as an inanimate object, a balloon cannot bid anybody farewell, right? But somehow, okay, in the line, okay, it treats the balloon as if it could bid the person's farewell, okay, as the balloon flies in the sky. So the balloon is treated as if it is a human who can bid someone else farewell. So that's the personification part. Okay. While the second example, the sea breeze whispered me a grim news. This is also the same. Sea breeze, right? It is abstract, of course, inanimate object, right? Doesn't really have a shape either. Okay, but by using whispered here, the sea breeze whispered me a grim news. Okay, the sea breeze is this line, the second example, treat as if the sea breeze is human who can whisper something to others, right? So that's the part, the personification part. And the third example, those foods tempt me over and over again. So the same, okay. Foods, of course, is inanimate object, but the line, the third example, make it as if, okay, the food could tempt, okay, a person, okay, over and over again, which is tempt, okay, tempting someone, okay, it's only a person can do, okay, but in the third example, it treats food as if it could tempt somebody, so that's the personification part there. And the last example, the real truth smacked me in the face. So again, okay, truth is an inanimate object. It is a concept, right? Abstract concept. But here, the truth could smack. Okay, actually, it is human, right, who can smack one another. But here, okay, truth is being treated as if it is human that could smack a person, okay, in the face, basically. So the truth is being treated as if it is a human. So I hope you can understand how, okay, personification work, but you have to remember that personification different with the previous three figure of speech is not really doing comparison. It's just make an inanimate object act, okay, as if it is human, basically. Okay. And the last part of this video is the how to, okay, how to analyze or how to identify figure of speech if I ask, okay, you to do so in a task or in an assignment. Some of you have done correctly, but some of you still haven't done it correctly yet, so I will repeat the how to part, okay? Let's say the question is, please identify one metaphor in the poem and please explain what does it try to express. So basically there are 5 steps that you have to do. Okay, the first step is basically mention, okay, what type of figure of speech that you are trying to identify. So in this case, here, this part, the metaphor from the poem is, okay, that is you, okay, making explicitly, okay, stated, okay, the or identify, okay, the particular figure of speech that you are trying to identify. So here, the metaphor from the poem is what? And the second step is you point out, okay, in which part of the poem that the figure of speech located. In this part that is read is from line 3, stanza 5. So the thing that you have to point out is the figure of speech is in which stanza and in which line, basically. Okay, so that's the second step. You have to locate the position of the figure of speech in the poem. Okay, and the third step, please rewrite the figure of speech. Okay, rewrite the figure of speech that you think, okay, fits, okay, with the figure of speech that is being asked. Okay, so rewrite the figure of speech in the poem, okay, in your analysis. And then the next step, please explain why you think that this part, okay, of in the poem, her love is snow in the summer, is metaphor. Explain to me why it is a metaphor. Okay, so here, okay, it can be seen that I should compare a person's love with snow in the summer using to be is. That's you, okay, explaining why this part, okay, of the poem, okay, is a metaphor. So the fourth step is, please explain, okay, why you think that that part of the poem is that particular figure of speech, basically. And then the last part, okay, of the analysis is you having to explain what does the figure of speech trying to express? Basically, what is the figurative meaning behind the figure of speech that is used, okay, in that particular poem? So like in the example, the metaphor tried to express the feeling of love which belonged to her that does not last long, which is comparable to snow that would melt quickly in summer season. So something like that. So you try to explain what is the meaning behind that figure of speech, basically. Okay, if you provide me with those 5 aspects, okay, obviously your answer would be correct. Okay, the arrangement could be different, up to you. As long as you provide me with those 5 aspects, you're fine. Okay, so please pay attention to that. So I think that's it for this video. I hope it helps you. And if you have any question about those 4 figure of speech, please ask me either in the class, or you can also ask me via Google Classroom. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for watching the video. I hope it helped you. Bye-bye, guys.